There we are. It's taking longer and longer to officially tell me that we are live. We are live. If you're watching us live, well, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, that means it's Wednesday at noon Eastern time. Of course, that means it's time for the High Noon Hemp Show. You find us in many places on Facebook. We're on the Temptations Beach Facebook page. We're on X at Temptations and, of course, YouTube, the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel. Please check it out. Subscribe, like, share, all of that good stuff. Of course, also do not forget the podcast. The High Noon Hemp Show podcast has returned, and classic episodes are being added all the time. Search the High Noon Hemp Show on iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and Amazon Music. I need to get better at adding more episodes, but there are a bunch up there now, and more are coming. So go and check that out. I am Stone Jesus, of course. I do various things on the interwebs that you can check out. He is Beach. He loves hemp, and he's broadcasting from the mobile Planet Everywhere studios. They go wherever Beach goes. How are things this week in the world of Temptations, Beach?
They're okay. I think. I mean, actually, they're pretty good. We're doing okay. We're doing okay in Ohio anyway. Still, so we'll see how that turns out. But thanks everybody. It is true. It's Wednesday. It's high noon. It's the High Noon Hemp Show. We're here for all things hemp every Wednesday. Tomorrow, of course, is also, you may know, Stoner, I believe, opening day for the Reds. May have noticed that theme
Yeah,
going on.
indeed.
But do you know what today is?
It's a special day. I know. It's almost as if it's like something that should go on a T-shirt type of day. What day is it, Beach?
Hemp Day.
There
That's
you go.
right. Every Wednesday is Hemp Day because we love it. We love the hemp. We really do. It's true. It's true. Hey, and we're glad you're here. We're going to be here for about an hour. We got a lot of good hemp stuff. You're going to learn about hemp, we guarantee it. So anyway, that being said, don't forget, folks, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. All right, well, let's go ahead and put our peace signs on our chests and do our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. Thank you, Coach Freddie, for those awesome words that we supply to you and we do every week here on the High Noon Hemp Show.
Right.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. The product spotlight from the store, one from my door here on the High Noon Hemp Show. The first one is the Blue Ridge Scrubs. Now, these are CBD scrubs. There's basically a couple different. You got coffee. There's one that's turmeric and neem, I believe, and then the other is, and my vision is terrible, and I can't. Oh, coconut. That's on memory. Uh, I am currently using the turmeric and neem one, and we've marked these down too, by the way. But I'm currently using the turmeric and neem ones on my feet for a scrub kind of thing. So, and I do believe that my feet feel like the skin is getting smoother and nicer. So, anyway, if you're looking for a scrub, there you have it. Blue Ridge Company. Legalized potbelly pigs. I don't know that I've ever showed this bag on, and I'm almost positive I have now. We've shown the legalized potbelly pig company makes the little one-y/lighter, and I've shown those quite a bit. They're just tiny little hemp pouches, basically, that holds like a one-y and a lighter. But I found this bag in the store yesterday. I love this. This is a sling bag, so it's just a one-strapped bag. You can see it's got all kinds of pockets inside. A little sunglass holder piece there on the top, easy to get to. Really, really neat looking, different looking bag than I've seen. So I will not take it. I have enough hemp bags on my own, so I'm going to leave it. Hopefully for a customer, maybe I'll list it on eBay so to get out there to the world soon enough, one way or another. Now I showed the black splaffs, I think last week, and so these are the natural color splaff flip flops. We have these in all kinds of sizes, women's, men's. Um, yeah, no, pretty much no matter what, unless you got like a super huge foot. Even though I think there might have even been a 13 or a 14. I don't remember, but either way, if you can wear flip flops, I cannot. I do not like them at all. I don't really. I'm not a big fan of open-toed shoes. Period. I don't think slippers, sandals, whatever they may be, flip flops. But anyway, um, if you are a flip flop person, we are close to flip flop weather, and I'm just going to keep saying flip flop because flip flop is fun to say. Go ahead, say it out loud wherever you are. Flip flop.
Flip flop.
Flip. See, it's irresistible. And all right, the last one, going with our reds or heads theme, which you're going to learn about here in a minute. This is a Hempy's free cannabis hat, and so that'd be a good one to wear down for opening day. You know, it's good old red and black, and uh, sports the theories that we love. All right, there you have it. 4 from the store. Now, the one from my door I have shown before, but I talk about a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and show it again. This is my Datsura backpack, which, again, I literally carry every day. Sitting on the floor right over there. Um, it averages probably about 20 pounds with everything that I carry in it, in case of emergencies and all those things. No matter what it is, and it's full of hemp, from hemp composite stuff to my carry my hemp paper copy of the Constitution in there, which I believe I showed just recently. I don't know if I did show that just recently, but anyway, that's in there as well as a bunch of other stuff. And so I love this bag. The only place it's given out on was some stitching, like the bag itself. There are no holes. The bottom is good. Everything, the fabric itself is held up impeccably. The only thing is I had a little bit of a stitching issue on the side, so I had to kind of resew it. But again, it was not the material that went bad. And then I see this a lot in especially bags and products. It's the material doesn't go bad. It's the stitching that sometimes will go bad. Again, that's how good hemp is. The chances of that bag wearing out are less likely than the stitching wearing out in spots. It was not made out of hemp, but we could make hemp stitching, and we have seen hemp stitching. Just another thing that if we stitched it with hemp, that stitching would probably last longer as well. There's a study for you if you want to. All right, well there you have it. 4 from the store, 1 from my door, here on the High Noon Hemp Show product spotlight.
Indeed.
And now,
of course, brings us to the beachwear segment, which, of course, is where we chronicle Beach's many, many world records, hemp world records that he has set. I know you're saying, Stern Jesus, if you're saying that these are world records, of course, they're recognized by the Guinness World Records, of course. Well, they are not. Guinness World Records doesn't care. And they may be saying, well, Stern Jesus, they have a lot of other things that are very important that they're worried about besides Beach and his hemp records. Well, you may be right. Let's see. Today, an hour ago, they posted a video of this guy creating the world's largest iPhone. Now, this picture doesn't do, you can go see the video because it really doesn't do it justice. It's basically a huge iPhone that works. I mean, it's impressive. Again, a lot of these things are impressive in and of themselves. It's a very, very large iPhone. There's no really practical uses for it, obviously, but it does make for a cool video. This guy like stands next to this wall and he's pressing it and it's working like an iPhone. Like I said, you can go see the video on their X because this is just a still and it really doesn't give you the full flavor of the impressiveness of what this guy did. But it's not hemp. It's not hemp records. It's not 6.5 years of us talking about all the hemp stuff that Beach has. It's just
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to get a. Now I'm gonna have to make a pair of hemp jeans that has a pocket big enough to hold
That's
the
right.
biggest iPhone or phone in
It looks like it's
the
got 10
world.
balls,
Maybe,
so
maybe that'll make it in. You know,
yeah.
you just, But
That's
today, if you're curious, because I wear hemp head to toe every day, and you're wondering, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you will know. Like I mentioned, it's the Cincinnati Reds opening day. And that's a big deal, not today, tomorrow. That's a big deal around here. I am a Reds fan. My grandfather took me to see the greatest baseball team ever in the history of baseball. Look it up.
Big Red Machine.
It's not even worth debating anymore, I don't think. The 1976 Reds. But my grandfather, when we were kids, would take us, and he would take us individually, not take us all, um, to Reds games. And those were the Reds that I got to see. I don't remember much. We were usually up top because the place um, was packed, and it held, I think, 90,000 people back in the day or something. Like, it's crazy how big that old stadium was. We shared it with the Bengals, I believe, as well. But anyway, so big deal around here. Um, Now, if you look closely on the top there, that my hat and my shirt both, they say heads, which is something that I came up with. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I kind of started a secret club called the Cincinnati Heads. Um, but it never really went anywhere other than here it is. Uh, but the news guy that came into the store to do some news stuff on it, he referred to it as Cheds. That was fun. My jacket, because it's still chilly around here. That's my hemp hoodlam pea coat. You may notice I popped the collar. I've been seeing a lot of pop collars on TV shows these days, so I just thought maybe I'd go back straight up 80s, where I never popped a collar. Uh, my shirt, that's the Hemp Company heads printed shirt, and it's got 420 on both sleeves, and then the back actually says Hemptations 420. Definitely the shirt that I wear. I have a red one too, but this is definitely the shirt that I wear to games when I go. My pants are a good old pair of Kentucky Hemp Outfitters, Carpenters. You can see in my pocket there my Green Springs Technology pen. My briefs are I Love Bad briefs. My socks are from Satori Canaleaf. And my shoes are a pair of Circas. They say love on the tag, which I do love. But these were actually Escape for Cancer shoe, made a long, long, long while ago. And so there you have it. If you're curious, Beach, if you were going down for opening day, what would you wear? There is exactly what I would wear.
That's right.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, um, I think I think I'm going back with our commercial for. I think this was back at I last Friday, and I talked about this as far as the events. We had an event for Rob Ryan's early birthday because Rob's health is taking a twist, and Rob is again he is a man that did more for your cannabis rights in Ohio than just about anybody, and nobody really knows his name. Which is why everyone should be doing this to begin with. It's not to get our names in the headlines. I never started doing this or did any of it to get my names in the headlines. I wanted to change the world and make it more cannabis free, wherever that went. Free cannabis hat. Um, and so, anyway, that's why I kind of picked this commercial because Rob and I obviously I believe this is going all the way back to the Ohio Rights Group, which was the first legitimate movement in the state of Ohio to legalize therapeutic cannabis and industrial hemp. And we got more signatures without any money than any other organization that ever tried to get a constitutional amendment on Ohio ballots. And that what we did there collectively almost forced Ohio into their medical program. But it was also the other legalization, which they called a monopoly, but that's a whole nother issue. Anyway, um, I got a little coin, 3D printed coin from Rob, thanking me for the things that I have done, which was really nothing. But anyway, let's go ahead and check out this commercial from almost 10 years ago. This would have been 10 years ago, roughly, at least. And then we'll come back with some news.
Registered voters, this is a call to action. Get your signature on an Ohio Cannabis Rights Amendment petition and help get the Ohio Cannabis Rights Amendment on the ballot in 2014. This is a therapeutic cannabis and industrial hemp issue. One plant, many uses. Go to ohiorightsgroup.org. That's ohiorightsgroup.org to get the facts. You can also go to either Hemptations location to sign the petition. Help make Ohio a better place.
There you go.
There you go. We did not get enough signatures, but we got enough that the voice was heard, and the voice that wanted change in Ohio was there. So, anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. Speaking of the voice being heard, an entire country's voice was heard on hemp. So, last couple of weeks, I reported on the South African ban on hemp food, all hemp food. Well, the voices have spoken, and the ban on the ban has been turned over, or there is a ban on the ban. And this came out, the Ministry of Health announced the fact that that ban is not going to happen. I think the big part of that is now they may go back and ban high levels of THC in food. I don't know, but they're going to reevaluate the fact that taking hemp foods out of the picture for all South Africans to eat is a ridiculous idea. I mean, we're talking about a superfood here, okay? And there is no THC in that food. There's no THC in the seed. It's not even a debatable issue, honestly. I mean, parts per million, maybe, like I have said, but it is so small, okay, that it's comparable to the parts per million of things you wouldn't eat a lot of anyway. But they're still allowable in our food because there has to be a certain amount. I mean, you can't say 0.000000000% of anything. Honestly, even arsenic. There's a certain allowable amount of arsenic, parts per million, in our food. And so, there's got to be that parts per million ideology when it comes to hemp food. And we can basically say no THC. Okay, and that's the important part of the food aspect of it. When I give my hemp presentation, when I'm asked why hemp, and I have 8-9 different topics on why hemp, food is my number one reason. Honestly, I mean, as much as I want the cotton industry to go away and all clothing to be made out of hemp because it's superior in all those things, the food part is the most important part because what's something we need? I mean, there's very little actual essentials. Okay, food is right there on top. Right there on top. So, and the nutritional value of hemp it's just so unbelievable that to deny an entire country of its food. And again, we've been doing that for a long time in a lot of places because hemp was illegal in all these other places. But I think even where hemp was illegal to grow, hemp food, just like the United States, was still a market. It is growing every day. and why we need to grow more grain here in the United States and all over the world for food. So I'm glad that the South African government, listened to the people. They got the facts. I think that this was again one of those things where they said, they heard that you could put industrial hemp THC in the food, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we can't have any hemp food then. It's just crazy. But growing hemp in South Africa is very new, so I'm sure there's a learning curve still, and there's a learning curve everywhere. But good for them. I'm glad. I'm super really happy because that was just one of those ridiculous things that was kind of scary. Just because if nothing else, could that have set a precedent? Other people paying attention, like, oh, maybe we'll just make hemp food illegal because there might be THC in it. There is no THC in the seed. And I would love to see the science that backs me up on that, because that could promote the hemp food industry in a huge way. There's all these myths about hemp, that need to be broken publicly, to help move this industry forward in a legitimate way. All right. Arizona State University studied hempcrete and found that it is cost effective and could offset harmful pollution. We know how well hemp itself sequesters carbon. Hempcrete actually continues to sequester carbon and stores that forever. um, and is durable against mold, fires, and pests, which is things we already knew. This study didn't prove to me anything that's out there, but it will promote, the idea. And again, they did show in the study that, and this is because hempcrete is so porous that it should not be used for load bearing, which again, we just spray in. We can use blocks in between frame if you want to do it that way, type of deal. But it is not, and it is acceptable international as an insulation more than anything, but it is not load bearing. Which brings us to Penn State University, which is researching load bearing hempcrete. Now, I don't know what happened here, but I'm going to say that at least a year or two ago, here on the High Noon Hemp Show, I reported that, and I believe it was Oregon State University. I'm not positive. It's been a while, and I mentioned a lot of things, but they had developed a load-bearing hempcrete. Now, it hasn't gone anywhere, and the fact that Arizona State is now doing this, I'm really curious where that research went. Did that research then get somehow proven wrong? Because my understanding was that it wasn't research; it was development. The school had developed what they were saying was a load-bearing hempcrete material. Now, I would have figured that if that was really the case and it held up under the guise that they got a patent on it and that they would own that hempcrete mix somehow. I don't, how all that would work. But that being said, we have not seen that come to the public that I know of, because we're still here, still not being able to use hempcrete as a load-bearing material in construction. So hopefully, maybe whatever Penn State University comes up with, maybe moves that other material forward, or more research. I don't know. I do know that we cannot use it, and I just saw another article about 3D printing houses and things like that. We cannot use hempcrete in a 3D printer. They built a house out of hempcrete with a 3D printer, but after testing it, it was not strong enough, and they dismantled the house. They tore it down. So that was, again, research is what we got to do. We got to keep doing the research. We find the right hempcrete that can go in a 3D printer, and then hopefully, improve that hempcrete is load bearing. And but the first round of that testing uh, failed, unfortunately. But hopefully, they're moving on to try different and new mixes to try to get that one that does work and affords that load bearing availability. Because it would be huge for the 3D printing and just regular hempcrete use. Article, what's inside your rolling paper? Check out this 105-year-old French factory. Okay. They make, and I've talked a lot about hemp rolling papers because most of them come from France and a lot of them have hemp in them, including this place that makes 105-year-old French factory making rolling papers. And I quote from the article, papers made from hemp are thinner than those made from wood, offering a slower burn, a smoother smoke, and a slightly earthy taste, which I don't know about. I've used some hemp papers, but I don't know about that taste thing. And of course, on top of that, it's sustainable. No chemicals and a lot less water being used on that hemp to grow, as opposed to using tree pulp for rolling papers. Okay. Now, at one point or another, there was a rumor out there that almost all rolling papers that came from France had hemp in them in some way or another, including the ones that the tobacco companies in the United States, the filtered cigarette papers, your big tobacco companies, were getting those papers from France. Now, I don't know if they still do. I haven't heard recently, but then again, so that there's that, ideology that, your big tobacco company cigarettes are actually contain hemp in the papers. Either way. So it's pretty interesting. And again, we have a pretty big selection of hemp papers, which is about all we do these days. That market was really driven 10, 15 years ago, and it started, and it's kind of the way the papers market went, all the way up to, all of a sudden Zigzag and JOB and all those all those rolling paper companies had their line of hemp paper and hemp wraps. Even Zigzag had hemp wraps. I'm sure they still do. Just like, we sell a lot of hemp wraps. We don't do anything with tobacco in it and haven't for years, but we have hemp wraps and cones and all that stuff. So, as seen here on the High Noon Hemp Show, many a time on the Product Spotlight. Oh, okay. So, stuff going on at the legislative. We're still arguing about it, debating it in Ohio. It was funny though because the lady that supposedly the lady that showed up to talk about how D8 was sending kids to hospitals, by the whatevers. She got immediately checked because she showed up. The same lady showed up 2 years ago and claimed that like CBD was sending people to the hospitals in some of these hearings or something. And so it's like, anyway. So I don't know. I still don't know I don't think it's going to pass. I think that if it even does pass or go through, that it will get challenged almost immediately, one way or another. It's a really another ridiculous attempt to step on Ohio voters and Ohio citizens' rights. So we'll see. North Carolina wants to keep hemp out of schools, which I don't. I don't know if that's all hemp or if that's just their intoxicating hemp. Um, Now, my question there is does do they have age restrictions on hemp products in the state of North Carolina? And if they do, then I would think that that's all they would need to use to try to keep hemp out of the schools. Um, but if they don't, then legally they probably can't tell a kid they can't have their hemp at school if there are no age restrictions. So I get, I mean, I'm not sure what they're going to try to do, or how they can do it, but that's the plan in North Carolina somehow. Um, so Nebraska Attorney General, the Attorney General in Nebraska believes that Delta 8 is illegal. So here's what's coming soon, Nebraska. A bunch of lawsuits from a bunch of business owners that have had their products seized illegally by officials in the state of Nebraska. Because guess what, Nebraska? If industrial hemp is legal, Delta 8 is legal. Pure and simple. Now, Attorney General, put on paper that Delta 8 is illegal, and then you would have a stance. But if you think under your current hemp rules or hemp laws that Delta 8 is illegal, you are 100% wrong. You're the top cop in the state, and you don't know the laws. That's just ignorance. So, anyway, here's a little prediction. Nebraska, you're gonna get sued. All right. So I guess Indiana. I'm not sure what they're trying to do in Indiana. And I don't know if it's intoxicating hemp or banning what. I just found out about this one, so I might have to look into it more. But there might be some stuff going on in Indiana. So if you're in Indiana, see what's up, and we'll go from there. But I'll keep you posted more. But I did just see something, and again, I think it's just a bill that hasn't even been discussed yet. So we'll see. Do you want to buy a $20,000 DIY hemp home? Check out this dome being sold on eBay. So it's a little under $20,000, and it's a DIY. So you're building it yourself, okay? But it comes obviously with all the material and the instructions. 2 bedrooms. So I guess there's a room up in the dome as well. But it is, technically what they would say hempcrete insulation, because again, it's not used as the load bearing, but it is hempcrete. Kitchen, bathroom, all the amenities of a what they're kind of calling a tiny home, but has a decent amount of space in it when you count that kind of dome room that's up top, um, which is super interesting. So anyway, only $20,000, but you got to build it yourself, or then hire obviously a contractor or someone that knows what they're doing to do it themselves. But I personally would be willing to try to do it myself. I don't think a whole lot of people would, but I think even if it costs you $20,000 to hire somebody to put it together, you still got a $40,000 2-bedroom tiny home to live in, made out of hemp. That seems brilliant. Oh, this is kind of fun. So I came across this a vegan athlete diet article. So there's there's 5 vegan athletes that they talked about, and 2 out of the 5, here they are, both attributed or really, focused on hemp as a source of food. So you got weightlifter Kendrick Ferris up there. Okay, weightlifter holding all that weight uses hemp. Again, he's a vegan. Okay, so this is a all those people that make fun of vegans, like make them look like all limp and pale, like they don't get their nutrition. Apparently, this guy can get his nutritional values plus some. Um, and then WNBA legend Diana Taurasi. Um, once again, and I can't imagine, and I don't know how many times I've said this. We're approaching 300 episodes, but I guarantee you I've probably said this at least 100 times over the years on the High Noon Hemp Show. If you are a vegan and you are not consuming hemp, you are not doing your diet any justice. You're not doing your body any justice. Look into the nutritional value, vitamins, minerals, omegas, protein, all of it is there. And so I would immediately recommend heading out to your local grocery store who has, it's maybe minimal and it may just be whole hemp seed. But even if it's just a couple tablespoons in the morning, a couple tablespoons with dinner, that's 100 grams can get you 60% of your daily value of protein. And then on top of that, all the vitamins and minerals and everything else you're getting from it. It's more than chicken. Come on. So as vegans go, and again, this is once again proving that you can be plenty healthy on a vegan diet and get what you need. Um, and I think a lot of athletes. I think it was, and I'm pretty sure. Now, once again, here on the High Noon Hemp Show, and I want to go back many, many moons ago, probably like 5 years ago, I found out that Tom Brady, I reported on this. Tom Brady consumed hemp seed every day with his breakfast. So, I mean, can't get much goater than that. I'll have to go back now and see if I can find out exactly when I found that out. But yeah. So I've been hearing a lot about tuberculosis these days. It's kind of weird on the radio. They're talking a lot about, and I think it's because of vaccines and all of these things that are, popular conversation in the United States. But then it's kind of weird how, like, again, it's just like the last couple of weeks, I feel like on the radio I'm hearing about tuberculosis and outbreaks and things going on. And then I came across an article that hundreds of years ago, or 100 years ago, I don't know the timeline here, okay, tuberculosis was treated with hemp seed. All right. In Sweden.
You know what this is?
That's what this is. Okay. In Sweden, hemp seed gruel with rye, flour, and milk was rumored to have cured a woman of the disease. So the next thing you know, hemp seed was heavily marketed as a cure. And so I believe, and I don't know if this was for the company Maltos Cannabis. There was a couple huge names. But they got so big that they actually opened a factory in Chicago, Helsinki, Brussels, and Utrecht. So, hemp seed as a rumored. Now, again, whether it actually, ironically, I want to say, actually cured or helped with tuberculosis isn't my issue here. The fact is that if we can think of any reason why we can add, just like I said, hemp seed to your diet, I mean, it probably made those people healthier one way or another, whether it actually cured tuberculosis. And because we know the nutritional value of hemp seed, maybe it did build their immune systems. Maybe it did help as it should or it could as a food product. Correlation, causation, It's the biggest argument on anything like this. Um, but I think there could definitely be a correlation. Whether the causation is there, I don't know. And the correlation is if you eat hemp seed or hemp grain, hemp oil, consume hemp oil from the seed, it should make you healthier. Okay. And so, once again, I think eventually the whole myth of hemp seed for tuberculosis went away. This hemp seed rye flour milk, I don't know how that would taste. Rye bread has a quite particular taste to it. I don't dislike it, but it is different, one way or another. And so, hemp seed milk and rye flour, maybe a whole different thing. It does sound like, hemp seed bread might be we need to, make some more of that maybe. But it just goes to show that, once again, there's most more than likely some type of above and beyond nutritional value to hemp seed that, again, I don't know, we already know its nutritional value, we just need to promote it more. But speaking of that, how about I'm going to leave everybody with this vegan chili recipe. I'll leave this up here for a minute, so if you want to do a screenshot and whatnot. Has a half a cup of hemp seed in it, and it just seemed like, seems so logical to have hemp seed in a chili as kind of a filler. It's going to, I think, take on the taste of the chili. Hemp seed, the whole hemp seed has kind of a slightly nutty flavor. If you're just eating it, say by a tablespoon or whatnot. I don't think, and it's not enough that if you put a cup of whole hemp seed in your chili, that you would taste it. You wouldn't. I think the whole hemp seed would work really well at absorbing the spices and the stuff, and adding kind of a vegan ingredient that, again, you're getting nutritional value out of, along with, and this has beans in it and a lot of other stuff. But I love chili, and so making, my chili doesn't have to be vegan. I consider myself a non-practicing vegan. I support the idea. I try not to eat a whole lot of red meat or meat, but I have not excluded it from my diet. But I think the idea is a great idea, and we should all drive. You don't have to become a vegan to support a vegan diet, honestly. But I think if you're moving, and I've always said that no one should really be on a particular diet. You should just have a good diet, a well-rounded diet, a nutritionally valuable diet, not a processed food, corn starch, corn filler, crap in a can diet. I had to say, and I am 100%, and I honestly hope, and I really want to, like, I need to write Kennedy Jr. a letter, because I'm on board with Make America Healthy. Okay, and it's not about making America healthy again, because I don't know. In all honesty, I guess we might have been particularly healthy in the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah.
Chemicals hadn't come along, or at least not as much on our food product. The water may have still been clean, but I'm not even going to say that because water has been. Um, but again, I want to say if we were ever truly healthy, that might have been when it was. But my goal has always been to make America healthy with hemp, you know. And so, uh, I think that I really want to get, if there is one good thing that comes out of the current administration's ideology, it is just that reevaluating the government's position on even the food triangle. Like, we came up with this food triangle more on, once again, correlation of food and nutritional value and what the human body needs than actual causation. We say, oh, well, cow's milk has a bunch of calcium. We need calcium. We should be drinking a bunch of cow's milk. We have now found out that is 100% not true. It is 100% not healthy for us. Okay? You know, red meat contains huge amounts of protein. We need protein. We needed it to get where we are now as humanity goes. So we should be eating as much as possible. But we didn't realize how bad that is actually for our heart and all the other things. And so, uh, you know, we need to get back to eating foods that don't have a bunch of chemicals in them, grown with water and in soy that's clean, um, and reevaluating the foods that are more readily available to us and how much they impact our nutritional value in diet. It's just like, again, corn to indigenous Native Americans has high nutritional value. Corn to Europeans has no nutritional value for the most part. I mean, look it up. If you have Europeans did not start eating corn until we got to the Americas. Even potatoes, once again, depending on where you're from, really makes a big difference as to the nutritional value of the food that you get. Okay? Now, you can't, you know, sure, red meat, great, high in protein. And again, most of humanity has evolved eating red meat. I cannot argue that. Our brains developed and became the big smart thing that we think we've got in our heads because of, this is food traced back to our diet. I'm not debating that. But now we have worlds of foods available, and we need to find out, of all the world's foods, which ones are healthiest for these people and these people. They don't drink dairy milk in Japan, and they have super low cases of osteoporosis and hip fractures. And again, we've got the science, and this is what I like, is where I think we're really going to start using more science and data that we know about foods to actually decide what's truly healthy. And if hemp isn't at the top of the list for its nutritional value, then we are not doing anybody, no human, any justice for that. Along with all the other foods that we know we can get certain things from, and they're more sustainable as well, causing less damage to the planet to grow or raise than the alternatives. And that's really where, again, I watched the corporate dismantlement of farming go down in the 80s. I may have only been a Ute at the time, but I was growing up on a small farm and I was paying attention. I remember in the 80s when I first learned about Roundup and soy. And and then again, corporate corporate controlling of farming food product is, it shouldn't be allowed. I think that people should be able to profit from food, but the farmer should profit as much as the CEO of a corporation that paid that farmer nothing to work his ass off and raise a crop. Because it's where we are now. That's what's it's again, all for like, why should stocks in a company have anything to do with feeding humanity? It seems like one of the most ridiculous ideologies ever. And again, I'm okay about somebody making a decent amount of money to run a company, but this person shouldn't be making millions and millions of dollars, and then the food product is subpar and still expensive on the grocery stores because you need to, make your money for your stockholders and your shareholders and all this, whatever. To me, that's just, we're smart enough not to tax food. Okay. At the grocery store, pay a tax on food. And of course, we shouldn't. This is an essential. Food is essential. And when it comes to essentials, okay, highly regulate them if you want to. Obviously, I want healthy food. I want to know if it says organic, it's organic. I want to know there's no chemicals. I want to know there's no antibiotics in my eggs and my beef or whatever. I do want all of those. I want to know all of those things. And more companies need to move that way, but they don't have to. So they're not going to. And, this is a health issue. It's a health issue. And to think that corporations make millions and millions and millions of dollars for very little amounts of people on food product, that once again is crap, honestly. It just seems so inhumane. And so, if this current administration, if Kennedy Jr. is really serious, and I think he is, I mean, again, his ideology on vaccines is, but he's coming around. If you don't know, he made a statement recently that, this, that, and all the other, and that's a whole nother issue. That is a whole nother issue, and that's whatever. But I think everything else that he wants to do is the right thing. All right. He wants to take out the things in our diet that we should have never had put in our diet to begin with. Ever. Again, and I keep, and I've been on the dye thing again since I was a kid. Honestly, it's like, why does my root beer have to be caramel colored? Why can't it just taste like root beer? Why does my Coca-Cola have to be caramel color? Why is caramel coloring even added? It's like an extra ingredient for what, my brain? If I buy a Coke and I open it up in a can, I don't know what it looks like. And so, all of it, even the candy thing. Like, and I understand, this is this flavor, so it needs to be this color. But if you can't do that naturally, why do you think giving artificial coloring in candy, which is already not healthy, a good idea? It's so stupid. It's like a marketing thing that is completely unhealthy. But they get away with it because somehow, some way, they proved that red dye number 5, made synthetically from who knows what, is okay for you in these tiny little amounts. We honestly wonder why certain cancers are so high. Like, gut cancer, as I call it, like, why? Well, Our bodies don't know they don't know how to process this. They don't. You know, we digest hemp. Our bodies digest hemp, and our bodies know what to do with the protein and the vitamins and the omegas and all of that stuff. And it makes a healthy gut and a healthy body. So, hey. All right. I'm going to get on with some events going on. We're going to get everybody on their day here. Tomorrow, if you're in Illinois, anywhere near Springfield, is the Illinois Hemp Summit. That's at the Artisans Building. I don't know what time. If you want to look at it, I don't have the times here. I want to say it was mid-morning to early afternoon. But that's tomorrow. Next Tuesday, April 1st. This is no April Fool's. The medical marijuana meetup is going on over at Carrican Spirits from 8 to 11. This is a great event. I try to go as often as I can. There's always things to learn, cool things to do. And so it's just a neat crowd to be around. Again, there is alcohol available, but less people drink. But and they do have food as well. So that's at the Carrican, Karrikin Spirits Company, 8 to 11 next Tuesday, April 1st. April 5th. I think we got there we go. Hempcrete Open House in Austin, Texas. So if you're anywhere around the Austin, Texas area, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., go tour, go check out, talk to the builder of a hempcrete house. I have a lot of hempcrete events going on. This is the biggest thing going on in hemp as far as events go, for the most part, are hempcrete related. Of course, NOCO. Don't forget about NOCO, which is the big one, April 10th through the 12th. Again, this is at Estes Park. Beautiful, beautiful area of Colorado. Here's the information here. NOCOHempExpo.com for more information. Unbelievable amount of discussions and panels and speakers and products and all things hemp, one way or another. We love NOCO. April 19th, 420 Eves, New Stoner's Eve, I call this. I used to have a party every year on New Stoner's Eve, and we'd bring in 420 at midnight. But this is the hemp fair at the Cannabis Museum over in Athens, Ohio. So enjoy a hemp fair on New Stoner's Eve in a cannabis museum. And, for the record, most of, and there's going to be, I'm sure there are plenty of hemp. I have not seen the hemp, but I have seen the medical cannabis inventory, which is the largest collection of medical cannabis related items on the planet, as far as I know. Okay. And so, an event at the Cannabis Museum alone is worth the price of admission. If there is one, I don't know. I think there is, but and then you've got all this other stuff going on. So enjoy that. Well, I wrote down May 16th through the 19th, but I don't know what that is. Do I have a flyer for that event?
This one? 4-day hempcrete workshop with Harry Hemp and Darren Del Toro.
Oh, that is it. I apologize. I didn't. I meant to make that a better graphic, obviously. So we'll get that fixed for you and let you know about that in next week's episode. June 10th through the 11th, you have the 10th annual Native American Cannabis and Hemp Conference. This is Pechanga Resort Casino in Temecula, Temecula, California. Don't know much about that, but if you're interested, again, that's June 10th through the 11th. Native American Cannabis and Hemp Conference. June 11th through the 13th in Berlin, Germany. You have the European Industrial Hemp Association Conference going on. So if you're over in Das Berlin, then perhaps you would check that out. July 9th through the 11th is the Hemp Beverage Expo in Atlanta, Georgia, if it's still going on, because Georgia, I believe, is trying to make hemp drinks illegal as we speak. So we'll keep you informed on that one. July 25th through the 27th, Stargazers here in Waverly, Ohio. This is the Stargazers Cannabis Festival. There's going to be an interactive hemp creek workshop, possibly an interactive hemp paper workshop, if not just a hemp workshop where I show people how to make hemp paper. Either way, and I have not confirmed, and I don't know for sure if I'll be speaking or not. But I will. I'm gonna get back with them and see if I can confirm that. And then the last one is October 3rd through the 5th, and again, this is in Minnesota, but this is the Hemp Building Symposium from the Lower Sioux Indian community. And again, growing hemp, building houses already. So they just officially opened the facility this year, and I believe may have finished one or some of their first actual building projects. And so, as far as hands-on knowledge, once again, they are gaining it. They're getting it. So if you're out in the Minnesota area, once again, that's in October. So you got plenty of time. All right. Well, appreciate everybody watching today. I don't have any questions to answer or thoughts different than all my thoughts that I think and spew to you during the show, which are quite easy. So I'm going to leave you with this. As always, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having Hemptations.
See you all next week.